Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Pam Peak, host of the Club 100 podcast. Welcome aboard. We're ready for our next episode where, we're going to be sharing those stories again, people's lives. What's up with that? We hear each other, well, not really, kind of, sort of, on our tweets, on the chat. But what do we really sound like? Who are we? And this is a great place on this podcast to get to know one another. We're going to be talking about transformations, mental, physical, even spiritual, with amazing men and women who've just gone through a lot. But here's what's really cool. There's a commonality here. We all lift heavy things, maybe some people heavier than others, and that's the way it goes. All right. And in doing so, one of the things we love to do is inspire as we perspire. That's my favorite motto on these podcasts. And so it's kind of a great win-win. We'll be talking about raw and real and authentic journey pieces in people's lives. And we'll be talking about tough times, challenges, triumphs, and people's really interesting backgrounds. So also, this is a shout out to folk out there who are interested in joining the Club 100 membership. All you got to do is just run on over to 100 Club 100, have a little look around and see what kind of wild and crazy things are going on. And if you're interested in becoming a member, just put a 100 and a 100 on either side of your name on your Twitter feed, and then let us know that you've just become a new member and we want to welcome you aboard. All righty, let's get going here. Today's guest is someone a lot of you people know from that chat, and that is Kevin Moore. Kevin, welcome aboard.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for having me.
All righty. So you have this wonderful title to your Twitter feed. It's old school style. What does that mean?
Well, old school to me, I tend to do things like the old traditional way where it's more hard work rather than, just push a button and you get whatever. It's like I lift like weights with more hitting more free weights, which is like the older style. I'm a wrestling fan. I like the old school wrestling shows. I used to watch all that kind of stuff. I just like things to be more old school.
Fantastic. Okay. And then it says married with kids. How many kids?
I have two kids. I have a 20-year-old son and a 14-year-old daughter.
Awesome. And then it says, I dig wrestling and movies and weights. Now, let's go to this whole fitness place. All right. Because after all, everyone seems to be really doing work, in the gym, lifting heavy things. What role has fitness in general, especially lifting weights and whatever, played in your life starting from a long time ago? Kind of take us through that journey.
From a long time ago, I was always into being in decent shape, trying to stay physically fit. I used to teach karate 100 years ago, it seems like, but and I was always physically fit. I lifted weights, but not like I do now. I just did what I could. I was mostly more into doing that, with the martial arts and things like that, as far as fitness goes. And then as I got older, I became a police officer and went to the police academy and things like that, and building from there. But mainly I work in a maximum security facility. So being physically strong is actually kind of important for what I do. And I've had quite a few things where I've seen the benefits of that, and it keeps me safe, and it also helps me to do what I got to do.
So give us some examples of what you're talking about, because I have no understanding and experience. I can only guess what it's like to be an officer in a maximum security prison. What is that like for you? Because, what you just said was something interesting. You're lifting weights and you're staying physically fit. And I obviously am adding mentally fit too, because that's got to be a huge piece of this. Is not only just something that, hey, I like going to the gym and hanging out with my friends and doing that whole thing, but it's also, it could potentially save your life. So
Sure.
tell us what that's all about. Maybe give us some examples.
Well, as far as being physically strong goes, a lot of what I do is medical codes and things like that. And I'm one of the guys that's able to pick up somebody that's, you know, incapacitated or attempted suicide or something like that, and being able to hold him up while somebody else removes, the whatever ligature or something like that. And it's important because you got to be able to do that in order to help save lives. And that's a big deal for me, is being able to do that part of the job. Plus, I mean, obviously you have to restrain prisoners and things like that to get out of hand from time to time. Mostly as I get older, I've learned a lot more how to talk people down out of things rather than physically actually having to lay hands on them. But having a little size to me does help, to do the job, because that way they look at me like, yeah, maybe we don't mess with that one. I mean, I'm not a very tall guy, so
How tall are you?
only 5'6", just 5'6".
Jesus, you look at your picture and I think you're like 6'9" and you're going to hurt people. And so
No, I wish I was 6'9". That'd be kind of cool to see how that feels.
I know, seriously, how interesting. So you didn't let the height thing get in the way. You were just like, the height thing is whatever it is, but it's the musculature, it's the ability to be able to, use your body to defend, and also to help other people as well, right?
Yep.
Excellent. That's interesting. What is it like? I mean, again, I think I'm just utterly fascinated with what you do, because I have, needless to say, never had experience with, any talking to someone who really works in maximum security. And, clearly your physicality is extremely important, both in terms of saving yourself, as well as you just said, saving other people. But what is the price you pay mentally? What's going on there, when you go to work? You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen some of my posts about I work 16 hours a day,
Yes, I have actually. I
pretty
have.
much 5-6 days a week. So I work a lot of hours. So I have to, most of my weightlifting is done over there at work. We have a weight room, and that's pretty much my escape from the nonsense and the craziness. That's the refocusing my mind. Like you said, you got to keep your mind right. That's how I keep sane. Is I get in there and I concentrate we only get 40 minutes at a time for our lunch break, and then 40 minutes on dinner break on both shifts. I don't know how to explain it, but I can forget about everything that else is just going on and focus on the task at hand, where it's just about what I'm trying to do and meet the goals that I'm trying to meet. And that's a big part of it, because it keeps you mentally strong. A lot of people don't realize that when you lift weights and things are bothering you, you're stressed or upset or something like that, you go and you lift your weights and you get yourself physically taxed, but also achieve goals that you set little goals along the way. That helps your mentality. Maybe you don't feel as burnt out or as run down. Maybe you get a little rejuvenated to finish the shift or something like that. The job is mentally draining. A lot of what we do is downtime. I'll do push-ups and stuff like that and on downtime. But a lot of what we do, we get paid for what we have to be prepared to do, not necessarily what we are doing at the moment. Because at any moment's notice, we could be running into a code of any kind of nature, and it could be any kind of code. We don't even know what we're going into most of the time. So keeping your mind right That's, to me, that's everything. And that's what I train younger bucks when they come in, try to understand things, because they come in thinking it's all, fighting inmates and stuff like that. That's not what we do. We don't just fight people, that's if you lay hands on somebody at the absolute last resort. You try to teach them the better way of, and if you have more strength to you, you have more confidence in yourself. So maybe you don't panic and go right to physical stuff. I'm very good at talking people out of doing stupid things. That's my
how the hell
strength.
did
As
you,
I've got,
how did you learn that?
well, I've been doing this for 22 years. I'm sorry, 26 years. I've been doing this since I was 22. That's when I started, and I've learned that over the years. It's like an old guy thing. It's hence the old school. I'm an old guy on the town, but I'm the one that they look to be like, okay, what do we do in this situation? All right, this is what we've experienced before. This is how we're going to handle it. And they look at me before they even look at a sergeant half the time, But that's my strength is being able to keep my head about me and have at least the confidence to feel like, whatever's going to happen, we're going to be okay because I can do whatever we need to do. And that's what a lot of the weight training has done for me.
So how often do these things occur? The suicides, the issues with guys who may be getting violent and back and forth. How often does that occur? Is this a once a week gig? Is this a daily occurrence? How does that work?
It's not necessarily daily, but it is quite. It's more frequent than once a week type thing. It's you get several codes a week to go to, and it could be anything from an inmate fight. That's most commonly what we have to do is get in between the guys and break them up, and hey, simmer down. Let's get away from that. But probably about every couple of days you get some codes like that. Medical emergencies happen quite a bit, where they have issues where we have to go and provide medical aid, first aid, that kind of thing. Done CPR more times than I can remember. Things like that. It's different. Now that kind of stuff doesn't happen as often as once a week or something like that, but it does happen.
So basically, good Lord, when you wake up in the morning, I'm just curious about, what your mindset has to be, knowing what you're walking into every single day. I mean, that's got to be an extraordinary mindset because most people, freak out if their coffee cup fell down. I can only imagine what people, you know, would think about you walking into that on a daily basis. Well, how do you gear yourself up?
I got to be honest with you. I don't even necessarily think about that anymore. I used to sit down every day before I started my shift because I would run on time. I would be a half hour early. I'd get there and I'd polish my boots. I'd get dressed. I'd sit down and I'd say a little prayer. I had a Bible verse I used to read every day, and I've gotten away from that quite since then. But that's how I used to mentally prepare. Now I don't even really think about it anymore. I wake up mentally prepared in that sense because I already know what I'm doing.
Interesting.
I can't necessarily explain it too well to you. It's just what I do.
No, you know something? You explained it beautifully. What you did over the course of years was you cobbled together your own way of coping. And this is your baseline for resilience. And, this is what everyone in life has to do. And, I saw that when I posted on my own feed today, that you liked what I posted. And this was an interesting quote. And this was from Carol Lawson, the Duke University's women's basketball head coach. A very simple, quote. We wait for stuff to get easier. It will
Yeah, I
never,
remember that.
it will never get easier. What happens is you handle hard better. I just love that. And, it's true. And this is where resilience, comes from, like in a big way. Um, Something else you should know. I mean, I've seen the number of hours you put in and the work that you do. The fact that you wedge in that physical activity is just amazing on so many different levels. My question to you is, what do your colleagues do during their 40 minutes?
Well, during the day shift, I'm pretty much in the weight room by myself. Couple of them may trickle in once in a great while, but they don't have any real drive to get in there. Uh, they eat. They eat a lot. A lot of junk. One thing about a lot of us, we eat a lot of whatever gets delivered. Burgers, pizzas, that kind of stuff. And I've been trying to get away from that myself because I let myself go a little bit too much, and I'm trying to take my weight more serious. Doc wants me to get below 200 pounds, and I shot up to about like close to 250, and I got diagnosed with the borderline diabetes type 2. They put me on medications, and I've been trying to get myself to a position where I can get off the medications, because they said if I get underneath 200 pounds, then diabetes will go away. Okay, so I've been working towards that goal and been trying to eat better. That's one of the things, like we talk about the 100 Club. I watch people on Twitter, and I like to look at everything going on Twitter. It's just a fascinating thing. It's a great escape from the normal, watching everything else go on. Just looking at the Twitter and watching people talk, and the 100 Club, they talk about different like meal preps. Well, I've started trying some of that. My wife is, she's helping out with we'll cook this and we'll put these in the meal preps and we'll put them in the freezer. And instead of, well, I'll just get a pizza at work tonight. You know what I mean? I'll go in the freezer, I'll grab, the chicken and the rice and the vegetables that the wife had packed up for me. And you know what? I'm loving life because I feel healthier, and I feel like that's making me stronger, and I feel like it's better food. And I love the mixed vegetables and chicken and stuff like that. I absolutely love it. But I learned that through watching people like Jeep Girl. She's talking about the little meal prep things and stuff like that. And I'm just like, wow, I should try these things, because that's something in my fitness game, if you will, that I don't do. So maybe I should give that a shot. And
Yeah,
that's been kind of a game changer for me.
exactly.
I'm losing weight, but I'm losing strength. So that's a trade-off for me.
Well, there's a saying, and the saying is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And
I've heard it.
Oh, yeah. And so when it comes to food, it's exceptionally important to think ahead, because if you don't, well, you suffer. How close are you now to 200?
I weighed in last night at 211 pounds.
You are the man. Okay. So as a physician, I can tell you that what's happening, first of all, is your belly is coming down, right?
Yes,
Which is very important, because it's that excess belly fat that is the big problem with diabetes. Number one. Number two, once you get under 200, your ability to be able to manage sugar at any level is going to be so much better than you've ever done before. And when that happens, then hands down, you're going to be able to drive down that blood glucose. And here's what's really important, and I really stress this for you and everyone else. For people who've been told that they're borderline type 2 diabetic, and then you're given medicine, I'm assuming you're taking a pill that's called metformin or something like that, right?
I take 3 pills.
Okay, you take 3 pills.
Yeah.
Now, here's what's
important. One of them, yeah.
Yeah. So here's the gig, right? As you drop weight, it's very important to stay on top of what your blood sugars are, because once you as you hit milestones from 250, then to 240, 230, all the rest of it, what happens is you need less and less medicine. And if you've dropped like 40 pounds, then you may be taking too many medicines because your blood sugar is already normalizing nicely. So it's exceptionally important to check in with your doctor and sort of basically pace it all so that by the time you hit like 190, you know what I'm saying? I'm just playing here with numbers, that you may not need any medicines at all, but you got to pace it and get those blood sugars checked as you go along the way. Does that make sense to you?
Makes perfect sense, because that's exactly what I've been doing with my doctor. He said the same basic thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
I got another appointment coming up in September. He's actually kind of happy with me because I lowered the A1C down a little bit, not where it needs to be, but a lot better than it was. So
I can give
I'm
you a
doing the
little
whole thing.
hint. I can give you a hint. I'm an expert in the field, so listen up. Free
Okay.
advice. Okay. The more you eliminate late night eating, the faster this is going to go. And I'll tell you why. There's a beautiful natural rhythm in the human body that's true for me, you, all humans. And that is that insulin, which manages blood sugar, is most effective in the morning and then into like up to about mid-afternoon. So after that, if you pile on a bunch of carbohydrate, especially, and the dense carbohydrates, guess what happens? Your blood sugar goes like this, and the type 2 diabetes is going to be slow to disappear here. So just watch as best you can what happens, in the evening, because that's really the important time. That's a great time to be having a boatload of great vegetables, non-starchy, and some great protein. That's great. But to pile on dense carbohydrates, then bread, pasta, rice, potato, not a great idea.
I'm still working on that, but you're absolutely right. I've got a sweet tooth and I've got a salt tooth, so I didn't get this way overnight. I'm going to be honest.
Dude, listen, what your answer
It's
was
not going to
beautiful.
be
No, your answer is so real. No,
but I'm
you're
working on it.
you're perfect, because that's the answer that everyone can relate to out there. They're going to say, I'm like him, I didn't get this way overnight, and it's going to take me a while. And, I'm doing the best I can, and I'm doing step by step. So we're going to get there, and I love that. That's real. Does that make sense?
Well, thank you.
Okay. I love that.
Makes perfect sense to me.
And again, this whole fitness thing, the fact that you wedge it in during the day is crazy. So how many days off do you have during the week? I mean, in 7 days.
Well, my leave days are rotating. It's like this week I'm off Friday, Saturday. Next week I'll be off Saturday, Sunday, Monday. The week after that will be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. The week after that, Tuesday, Wednesday. So they build. I don't usually work my leave days. The deal I have with the wife is I work 16 hours a day, but then leave days off. That's for her and the kids. So I try to be dad, hang with kids as much as possible, hang out with the wife as much as possible. You need that. Otherwise, all you're just working, you get away from that and separate yourself from and focus on your home family, because that's what's really important when you get down to it.
Yeah, I love this message.
Be dad. I take my daughter to the gym, and she my son my best workout partners. Huh? What'd you say? I didn't hear what you said.
Like I said, this is a beautiful message.
Hello?
It's a beautiful message. Can you hear it?
Oh, well, thank you.
No, what I'm saying is it's a beautiful message.
Yeah, I can hear you. I hear you now.
Yeah. It's a beautiful message to say that, without meaning and purpose in life, which means being there for the family, then what's the point?
Exactly. There's really no point in busting your tail at work and trying to work the overtime and bring home the money to take care of things, but if you're not there. My father died when I was 15 years old, diabetic complications. And I look at my daughter being 14 and I won't do that to her. So I'm going to be physically strong, mentally strong, spiritually strong, and be the dad that she needs to be as she gets older and see her grandkids get married and everything else. That's the plan.
And you know what you did? You just identified the most important meaning and purpose of this whole thing about taking care of yourself, which is, when you have a family, you want to be there for them. And so, when I can put money on it that when that little demon in your brain says, bag the workout, who needs this today? I think I'm going to chill out and just hang and whatever, even though you have a scheduled workout, then all of a sudden a picture of your daughter flashes in front of you. You're like, oh, nope, I'm going to stick to it. Without meaning and purpose, there's no real reason to show up and take care of yourself. Would you agree?
Oh, I would totally agree, because when I think of my daughter and my son, their image of me is extremely important to me. When my daughter's at the gym with me and I'm trying heavy weight or something like that, it's more motivating to me because I'm a little bit stronger when my daughter's with me and when my son's with me, because I want them to see me do things that are achieving a goal, because they'll see where I came from and I'm building towards it and I'm achieving that goal. Maybe I don't achieve it, but they see me with the confidence to try it. And that gives them maybe the confidence, well, you know what, dad did this, maybe I can do this too, that type thing. To where, like I said, their image of me is pretty much everything to me. And I want them to have a strong father that's there for them, no matter what. You can see me being physically strong, sure, but also try to be mentally strong too and emotionally strong. So when they need me, I'm there. And that's everything to me. That's the only thing that truly matters.
What's it like bringing your daughter to the gym and working out with her?
You know what? We have the best fun. That's my sweet baby. That's I call her sweet baby all the time. I don't necessarily call her by her name. I call her sweet baby all the time. I love it because, one, it's time I get to spend with her. Two, she's fun to hang out with because she's an amazing kid. And three, it's fun to watch her try stuff and get that aggressive level in her to where she's trying to do, say she couldn't do this weight a couple weeks ago, but now she's able to handle it easier. And it's cool because I can say motivating things to her and encourage her. And it's kind of like when I was a kid, my dad was a baseball guy and I was a baseball player, and he taught me how to play baseball. And my dad and my thing was the baseball field. We went to the batting cages, countless hours doing stuff, trying to do that. Well, I'm not necessarily into baseball like that anymore, but I am into weights. And my daughter's into weights, and my son's into weights. So it's something I can pass on to them. That's me. That's a big part of who I am and what I am. So when they get older and, God forbid I do leave this earth, I'll have a legacy in their mind where they'll be, well, they like both my parents passed away a while ago, but I always tell them the stories of their grandfather or their grandmother. And say, your grandma used to do this. My daughter's very much like her grandmother. And I like to point that out because, one, it helps me remember my daughter, but two, it helps her to remember her grandma that she never got to meet. In saying that, I want her to be able to look at her kids and say, well, your grandpa, he used to teach me this and we used to do this. And that is extremely important to me. That's part of that old school mentality, is you're leaving your own legacy with them. Because that really is what, like I said, it's everything.
I love it. I mean, and you know what I really love about talking with you is that you're absolutely 100% authentic. I'm not hearing anything other than just, real and relatable. And I can absolutely guarantee you, when people are listening and viewing this podcast, they'll go, love this guy, totally relate to him. And that's where it is. It's really important. There's one other thing that's really kind of cool, and something I'm going to be tweeting about sometime this week. There's a new study that just came out, which is really kind of cool. You read all these studies that say, when you run and when you're outdoors and hiking and, doing the aerobic thing is very, very good for your brain. You get out there and it just does wonderful things like help you grow new neurons and makes you mindful and all these great things. But then a brand new study came out and said, well, wait a minute. What about weightlifting? What about resistance training? And lo and behold, this is what we found. In the study that was just published, they found that when you lift weights, what you do is you become stronger physically, duh, but you become stronger mentally. Suddenly you're like, you're like got that chest out there and you're like, I'm entering a room now, dude. My chest comes first, then I enter. It's one of these I'm strong and you just feel like if I could have, just crushed it on the Smith machine right now, right? If I was able to do that deadlift, then something, I can handle this big stress I've got at work. I can do that. And, one kind of pours out onto the other, which is why when you crowbar in that workout while you're at work, it's amazing because it's actually helping you heal and reset so that and regroup so that you're more effective doing what you're doing in a big way. So there's a lot to be said for this whole issue of weightlifting. Does that make sense to you?
Perfect sense. Makes
Yeah.
perfect sense to me. I know when I lost most of the weight that I lost, I wasn't really doing cardio. It was weight training and eating better, and mostly cutting out pastas and breads and things like that. Basically, if I had a burger, it would be just the meat, maybe the meat and cheese, and not necessarily the bun. And I was doing heavy weight training, and my weight training, the way I do it though, I don't, like, in between sets, I don't sit and relax. I pace back and forth from one spot to another. Like I walk back and forth just to keep the blood flowing. That's something that a mentor of mine once taught me. The dude was a power lifter, like super strong, and I've been doing that for years. That's just how I do it. But then when I started adding the eating better, then I started to shape better and started to feel better. And like you said, when you lift the weights, you bring all that stuff into focus, and it helps you to, like you said, mentally strong. And yeah, that's just how I feel about it. I'm a firm believer in it because I know that if I do things the right way, and if I eat the way I should be eating, lifting the way I do, I know I'll get to where I need to be.
Awesome. How did you first get connected with Club 100?
You know, it was kind of funny because if you notice, I like to like people's posts. Like you posted that thing today that I liked, and people do workouts, and it to me that's just fascinating when they do like great feats and stuff like that. Like you see Shadow and
Big J.
Dookie and Buddy and huh?
Big
You see these
J.
guys moving these like just easy weight. Yeah. And, also him too. To me, it motivates me because I was like, wow, look at these guys doing this. I'm like, good job, right? That's awesome, brother. Well, Dookie contacted me. He DM'd me and he's like, hey, why don't you join the 100 Club? I said, bro, I'm not really a bodybuilder or a powerlifter. I'm just a regular Joe. Just, I like to lift and I'm trying to do what I do. As I'm not, in other words, not worthy of the 100 Club. Well, Dookie buddies, I like that guy. He's a really cool guy. He's like, dude, that doesn't matter. What you do is you're lifting. You're a positive guy, and you're what we need in the 100 Club. I'm like, I'm what you need in the 100 Club. So all right, what the heck, you know what I mean? So I joined the 100 Club. Then I started listening to the different advices that everybody gives, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I've only been a member of the 100 Club for maybe a few months, but everything about my physical training has improved.
What did you learn from the videos and all of this educational, material that all the club members share? How's that affected you, your training, your whole, perspective on how you do what you do?
Well, since being a member of the 100 Club, the things that I've learned watching the videos and the different exercises that people do, it's taught me that I was sandbagging myself. I'm selling myself short because I was capable of doing more. I was able to do more reps, whereas I had the goal of doing like sets of 8 to 10, or and thinking that's good enough. Well, good enough isn't good enough. So I started working harder, and I've seen a lot of changes in myself and the way I do things, and seeing the different exercises that everybody does and trying something different. It's helped me to try different things and learn different angles, and then help train my daughter and things like that.
Okay. So,
Learn a lot.
and it's been really inspirational too. I think that what's really important for you is for your daughter and your family to see that you're strong, but not just physically. It's like kind of a whole package deal, right?
Yeah, like I said, but the image that my son and my daughter have of me, means everything to me. That is the most important thing that drives me, because I want them to see me as not just physically strong. I want them to see me as like physically strong. Like I said before, I don't know if you remember. My daughter once said I was the strongest man in the world. I'm not. I know that I'm not. So don't at me, anybody. But at the same time, the fact that that's the image that my daughter has of me, that means everything to me. Because when it's all said and done, and I leave this earth, what's important to me is how they see me, how they see the man that I am, the man that I was. When I'm old and gray and can't barely walk or think for myself anymore, and they look at me and say, you know what, your grandpa used to be this. So at one time they have an image of me that's positive and brings the good thoughts to them, and that's how I want to be remembered. My legacy for her and for him.
Phenomenal. So, what about a guy out there, as we're kind of closing this out, who is 250 pounds, like you were a number of months ago,
Yeah.
who is diabetic now, taking all kinds of meds, and is feeling like, he's listening and he's, mm, I don't know that I've got it in me to do this. I mean, look how far he's gotten, and I feel kind of hopeless, and kind of defeated. What would you now tell this person who is on the fence and is kind of lacking that deep kind of push? How do we get this person over this hump a little bit so that they can begin this journey?
Well, I think I would say to this person, because like as you might know, realize I'm an extremely encouraging person. I have a lot of compassion for people. I love everybody, and I would say to this person, I said, look, man, you know what you want to be, you know where you're at now, and it's not where you want to be. So we got to put in the work, and we'll get there. So if you just do a little bit, set little goals each day to where you're going to do this. Maybe you're going to eat less. Maybe you're going to eat better. Maybe you're going to do a little bit more this exercise, or do a little bit more that exercise. I would tell that person that if you put in the work, you'll get there, because that's what I did. Now everybody's different. I get that, but I'm lazy too, and it's very easy to get caught up, especially when you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. But I've been there. I've been to that point. When I first found out I was diabetes, I was like, oh man, I'm going to go out the same way my dad did. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. No, you don't have to do that. I'm already older than my dad was when he passed. So I would tell this person in the same position I was, look, if we get down in the trench, we'll do it together. I'll get down and do the push-ups with you. I'll come and meet you at the gym, and we'll hit the weights. We'll get this job done, and we'll start getting some little baby steps, and we'll meet the goals, and we'll do what it is you need to do. And I've actually trained a lot of people as far as like help them get into like the police academy and things like that, doing the push-ups and things like that. You know, if you are, the 100 Club's motto is do the work, son, right? And this is 100% true. If you do the work, you'll get the result. But if you don't do the work, you don't get no result. You, in fact, get worse. So, somebody in my position from that, if I was looking at the guy that I was uh, before I started this stuff, I would say, listen, you got to stop with the negativity. You got to stop with the, doing the things that caused you down this way. And you got to recreate yourself. You got to do different things. If you want to be better, you have to do better. And then I would help them. You can't just say this to somebody. You got to like you lead them on the path. You show them the way. And, if they take it, great. They'll learn how to, it's like riding a bike. First, somebody holds you there and they help you learn. And then once they're able to hold their own and ride the pedal themselves, then you let them go, let them take off. And that's what I would do. That's what I would help with somebody like that.
The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So you're talking about taking small steps to begin this entire journey. They don't even have to hit the gym right off the bat. What they could do is just get up and walk around the damn block, and see what it feels like to get out of yourself and just go out and, feel better, just by being in nature and being outside. Because after a while, once you spin inside yourself too much, it's like a prison. You need to get out. And then, obviously, yeah. And then obviously they have to address how they're eating, and, eating clean, and really remembering that excess fat really peels off very nicely, once you've corrected the nutrition appropriately and you stay consistent. Never said the word perfect. I said consistent as best you can, because we're all human beings, for crying out loud. And there you have it. And then combine, the physical activity part of it, along with the nutrition, along with learning how to become resilient, stronger mentally. All of this is so terribly important if you're ever going to make any kind of progress. No question about it. So one last word from you. Come on now. Let's someone's listening. They're on the fence, and they're like, so what can we tell them right now? Like, what can they do this very moment to feel a little bit better about themselves and get ready to be able to take better care of themselves?
The thing I would say is, just because it doesn't look too positive right now, it can be. If you're willing to put in the work, you'll get where you want to be. There are a brighter future ahead. And if you really want to do it, you can. Because I'm learning that myself. I had a shoulder injury a couple of months back in September, and I lost a lot of strength. And I've been rebuilding it, and I'm getting chunks back with each workout I do. And I'm feeling good about that. So, and I just encourage everybody to just get up off the couch, maybe put down the chips, and do the work. That would be the best thing I could say to somebody is decide it's time to change and implement that change. Because that's what you have to do. You won't change unless you decide to change.
That's the message right there, everyone. You've been listening to Kevin Moore, old school style is all I can say. And this has just been another beautiful example of the extraordinary people in the Club 100 crew. We're the members. We do work. That's what we do. We do work, and we encourage you to join us along with that work. Just run on over to 100 Club 100, learn more about us, and then come on down as a member. No question about it. Listen, thanks so much for being here for the podcast. I'm Dr. Pam Peak. I'm the podcast host, And it gives me great pleasure to share these wonderful stories with everyone out there. Take good care.